Brony Geeks proudly presents Gag Review Marvel's What If, Episode 3. The following audio may contain coarse language and other materials that may not be for a younger audience. The opinions expressed in this audio are solely those of the speakers involved. These conversations may contain spoilers for current media such as games, comics, movies, television shows, and more. Brony Geeks makes no claim to ownership of any of the various media discussed, simply the opinions expressed. Listener discretion is advised. Hey, be sure to come check out our Facebook group. We're over 1,400 members strong, still growing, and we need those 1,400 members to come on over. Subscribe to the Grown A Geeks YouTube page. You know where that subscribe button is? The link's right there for you. All you gotta do is click it. And be sure to check out all the latest stuff we got going on. We've got Titans Season 3, Episode 1 through 3 review already up. What If Episode 2, and then gag on these balls with the NFL predictions for this season. Be sure to check out our link tree for the audio-only versions of those, which will be on many of your favorite apps. Just go to anchor.fm/GrownAgeeks. Without further ado, Marvel's What If, Episode 3. We have the man, the myth, the Marvel, Will Parker. How are you doing, sir?
I've been better.
It was a hell of an episode. I'm Brent. I'm host, just running tech, just asking all the questions, just trying to get down to the nitty gritty geeks of all the stuff that we know, we love, and we enjoy talking about so much. Without further ado, though, this episode, please give me your thoughts because there was a lot that happened.
I really did not expect the episode to start off the way that it did. But I'm still pleased nonetheless. So that even though it started off the way that it did, I think that they did a great job using the content from the movies and stuff like that, and then just retranslating it into something different and skewing the whole timeline in this crazy direction, so like that. And it's fantastic the way they did it and how they set up. I love the little Easter eggs. I love little, the plot setups like that, and I love the reveal at the end. So fantastic.
Because it showed, like, literally all it took was 4 days to end the Avengers if you really knew what you were doing. And the villain at the end, I had absolutely no call, but we'll work our way up to that point. I was in left field. I had no idea what was going on. This episode was definitely Marvel's version. I believe DC ran a comic storyline where Batman had an initiative plan that he could wipe out all of the Justice League. This is basically Marvel's version of it, but with a vengeful side. So it was definitely interesting. It could potentially explain how we ended up with like Marvel zombies in the later episodes coming on. So like that's something I feel like is now better explained, but there's still so much between what we have here and what we have moving forward that you can't put anything concretely because Marvel's thrown curveballs in places that I didn't think was quite possible. Like out of all the deaths, which one like really stuck out to you?
The one I want to say that stuck out to me the most, honestly, I gotta say, probably Black Widows. Black Widow's most sense of that because she's not used to, anybody getting a drop on her. She's not used to, you know, having to go through the kind of thing. She kind of shuts herself off, so she doesn't really have that loss. So she's able to move through everything so that without worried about people. Like her best friend, Clint, like he's there to back her up and so like that. And the fact that she had to deal with that grief and so like that, as well as back on the run, she's back solo again. She doesn't have Shield having her back, and then the surprise for her at the end. So that was like, well, fuck. Like I think hers was like the most surprising because it was also part of the reveal. Like it is where everything fully clicked for me, and even then, once it fully clicked, it still wasn't concrete because Marvel is good at what they do. So
Yeah, because like for me, I was completely down with understanding that Clint had his accident, that Tony got injected falsely. Like, I couldn't put anything together by that point, and then still we just kept going on and on, and then the Hulk just blew up, which that for me, I lost it. I was like, what? I had no idea that Hulk could even be like murdered in that capacity. So for that just to be a thing, it's just terrifying in of itself. But also it goes to show that the villain was literally next level genius and had a lot going on and figured out a lot of stuff and put in a lot of homework to get within the Shield database and then use this information to carry out his master plan, because he would not have been in my top 10 guesses of people that they would have brought back. I forgot he was in this universe almost.
Hmm.
Because
Yeah.
what were you guessing?
So throughout the process and stuff like that, again, I just kept it mellow so that when Tony died and stuff like that, freaking, I was a little more or less like, something funky's going on, so like that, freaking, because the lithium dioxide, of course, is supposed to help him, stuff like that. But when it was figured out that the medicine never made it out and stuff like that, that's when freaking I knew something was screwy at that point. Like, I mean, I already knew something was screwy, but that's when it popped in my head was either Ant-Man or Yellow Jacket. That's kind of where my head was going with it. So at that, um, and of course, Yellow Jacket being the bad guy is where I went. So at that, it was like, okay, what if he actually had a chance to take everything over and so like that, and actually get his suit off the ground? That makes perfect sense. It would be him freaking running down and taking people out. So as the show went on, it was like, yeah, Yellow Jacket, that makes sense and stuff like that. Freaking, and I got thrown for a loop later on and stuff like that. Freaking when Black Widow's portion happened. So when that happened, it was just like, well, fuck, I was wrong. So I went a different direction. And then, of course, with the end, it took me right back around freaking the column A, which made me wrong again. I'm like, I love this. I floored. I love it.
The writing has definitely been terrific from start to finish. Like, none of these episodes have been like what you would call boring per se. I mean, episode one was kind of like cookie cutter, cut and dry. It wasn't horribly out of the box. And then episode two showed us that T'Challa was a better Star Lord than what we saw like 4 movies with Peter Quill. So kind of shows you like just what good writing can really elevate. And it's not like James Gunn is a bad writer. It's just like the character was so not T'Challa. And then we get here, and like they brought back so many of the original voices. I think the only character that stood out to me that was different was Widow, because it was not Scarlett Johansson, which with everything that's going on with her, it kind of is just one less thing that they're going to have to pay her for. But at the same time, it's like kind of interesting that she didn't want to be on this project, or they either did a quick sub out with everything that's going on.
It could be a number of things, and I'm not going to give any rise to speculation, but a lot of this series was filmed a while ago as far as the voice lines and stuff like that. So it could have been that she didn't want to be part of the project. It could have been a scheduling conflict because she was working on other stuff, or they were, in the process of filming something. Like, yeah, remember she was a pretty heavy part in freaking. She had her own movie, and then she was a big part in Endgame, so like that. So again, T'Challa could have been filming his lines at the time because he was not active during that time till the of the end of the movie. So she might have just not been on call for that, and they had to fill the role. Because I mean, Steve Rogers isn't played by Chris Evans, and so like that because you know he had other stuff going on, and he didn't want to reprise that role, or he had something else that wouldn't allow him to. So we'll just leave it as speculation and stuff for now. But the writers and stuff like that, freaking like AC Bradley and Matthew Chauncey, they did a good job doing what they do. Whoever's in charge of casting is still doing an awesome job. So shout out to them. I don't know your name, but I would definitely go look it up and find out. Um, but all the characters still felt like the characters. They still felt like the characters we know and love from the MCU and stuff like that. And you just find a skew on their personalities based on the situation, and it makes sense just going through the process. So Black Widow, she's you know distorted a little bit because hey, she killed somebody that she wasn't trying to kill, and then she lost her best friend. So yeah, I don't expect it to be the same kind of performance going through because the Black Widow we know with Scarlett Johansson.
Ah, well, that's fantastic. It looks like you have completely frozen. That is exactly why we do what we do. I'll just have to continue to keep talking until the internet decides to catch back up to speed. Um, I have to say, like, when Loki showed up, it was definitely a catch 22, if you will. When he showed up with the people that he ended up showing up with, it definitely added more credence and more merit to just how serious the situation was. To see that the characters of that caliber, because they had Civ and the lady, Civ and the Warriors 3. I think she was part of them. So that was definitely a thing. Now I'm just talking to myself, which is phenomenal. But at the same time, technical issues are a part of the job, part of what we deal with. And then to have the giant hulking brute that was the villain in Thor, the very, very first movie besides Loki was like the mini boss to Loki in a way. Just have him just there standing guard over everything that the Asgardians had um, going on was definitely a crazy, crazy twist. And then once you think you finally got to some sort of like actual resolution with the world and everything that it was inhabiting it, then all of a sudden Loki, pulls Catch 22, decides to just be like, you know what? I like this Earth place. I'm gonna take it for myself. I'm gonna stay a little bit longer here in Midgard. And Tom Hiddleston, even though like throughout his whole Loki series, he was trying to like conquer the world and like Loki was doing his thing, so to speak. He definitely, you know, you back to action, Jackson.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what the hell happened. Like I was in the middle of freaking my spiel and freaking everything just
Yeah, I
cut.
am still recording. We are still live. I still kept talking. I was talking about the big reveal of Loki and how it really showed like the merit of his character to have Sif, the Warriors 3. He had the villain from Thor. When first came to Earth, the Thor had to have like his duel that leveled this town in like New Mexico. I don't remember. Is the Destroyer? Is that his name?
Yeah, the destroyer.
Yeah, had that absolute chaotic battle, and then Loki decides, you know what? I like Midgard. I'm gonna claim it for myself. That was definitely a twist I didn't see coming. Um, were you like on deck for the whole Brie Larson reveal?
So I saw the setup for her, obviously. It's like that. So I was waiting on her. It's more or less like Loki was a double flip because the way they look at he's going is like, I may want to stick around. We should be allies. Like, is Loki about to become an Avenger? Like, what the fuck? And then, no, I'm taking all this. It's mine now. And then, yeah, we got to bring in the actual first Avenger, Captain Marvel. And again, with Brie Larson, it's with that. Whether she voiced or not, it's with that. I was unaware till we got to this episode. So
Yeah, I don't even know if it's officially her. I'm just expecting it was her. The voice sounded eerily similar, but at the same time, like also with Blake Bell voicing Scarlett Johansson, not voicing Scarlett Johansson, but voicing Natasha Romanoff. Excuse me. There was definitely something that was. It sounded familiar, but at the same time was not. So having the first Avenger there, and at the same time, we still have Peggy running around as Captain America. So that'll be definitely an amazing thing. And we have the T'Challa Star Lord going on, amongst other things, because I mean, there was still that whole spin off thing where we saw Stark working with the Killmonger. And that has yet to happen yet. So we'll see how all these pieces slowly go from way out here, slowly start to intersect, and we get a connected story of sorts. Because like if you, it'd be hilarious to see Thanos on the good guy side as one of the Avengers, just fighting Loki.
I mean, and that's the kind of only time where I think everybody will be happy that he snaps Loki's neck. So let's see what we get.
Looking forward to the very next episode. What what are you most looking forward to?
I mean, it just depends on what's coming next. So that I think that I do want to see them kind of flesh out this the Killmonger storyline, since I don't know if it's in the same, because it could be in the same connected universe as this. So it could be that Killmonger is currently War Machine, and he comes in because he finds out Tony died, and hey, I need to be in on that and so like that because I need to avenge Tony, or I need to take his place or whatever. Or it could be an alternate timeline where Tony just never became Iron Man and he becomes Iron Man. I don't know, but that may not even be the case. It could be, hey, I'm here to save you and I take you for ransom. I don't fucking know. Killmonger could be any freaking direction right now, so it'd be interesting to see where it's gonna go.
There's a lot to speculate on, and there's a lot to look forward to. But overall, would you rate this as the best episode we've seen so far of the three, or would you say that Chadwick Boseman's performance in episode two was enough to elevate it to that best spot?
Um, Honestly, I can't give any episode one over the other. I think that they're all fantastic with that. I think that because of the way the buildup is and the shocks with that, I think this one had more shock factor as far as the Avengers going down and how they went down and so with that. But as far as cast and crew and so with that, I think T'Challa's episodes with that was a better a funner ensemble so with that. And while I still think right now, Captain Carter is one of the best, standout characters and stuff like that for stepping into that role and kind of doing the thing. So, can't
Oh,
really put one over the other.
oh yeah, because Captain Carter was an amazing change. I thought she did a better job than Steve did when he had the mantle. Because Captain Carter was pulling zero punches and willing to just take everybody out that was in her way. It wasn't even like casual violence. It was definitely like full on war. And then we saw that T'Challa was a better Star Lord than what, Peter Quill was a Star Lord. So that was definitely interesting. And then this time we saw that Nick Fury is still very much just Nick Fury. He's always been able to out scheme, outthink, and outwit a lot of situations, but at the same time, without the Avengers to back him, things still ended up in hell in a handbasket. So
It is true, but I'm not gonna like. I think T'Challa was great for what he was because I think he's an awesome actor and so like that. But by no means am I gonna shit on Chris Pratt and so like that his performance as Star Lord. I think he's fantastic. As the Star Lord that we had, like he was great and so like that. T'Challa's Star Lord is really a different take on Star Lord, so I don't think that he's necessarily a better Star Lord because Star Lord, every character is what you make it. So when you have, Spider Man, so that you got Peter Parker as Spider Man, so that but then you got Miles Morales as Spider Man, so that like I don't think there's a better Spider Man. Like they're both fantastic Spider Men. They do things differently,
yeah,
so
everyone's got
there's
their
no
preference,
competition.
and then I have my preference. But at the same time, you're absolutely right that Chris Pratt nailed the role, and it was very heartbreaking to see him when he finally like lost everything, and he finally lost Gamora and had to reconcile with the fact that her Mad Titan father had killed her and all that. But that's rehashing old stuff. Overall, I really like the episode. Um, I feel like this is basically Marvel's version of Darkest Night. I think that's the comic. I believe that's the storyline. I'm sure some geek will comment and correct me if I was wrong, but I know it was the plan. But Batman had to wipe out the rest of the Justice League, keep them in line. Just Hank Pym is the person who's just like, you know what? Screw the Avengers. I'm gonna get mine. And still had to avenge his daughter. And technically, he was an Avenger, but more of a revenger to revisit something that Thor would have said. We're just the Revengers. Um, Anything else you have for today's wonderful episode of Marvel's What If, episode 3?
No, I think everything's fantastic, and I'm just looking forward to the next episode, man.
All right. I have been Brent. I've been running host, artist formerly known as Tony Stank. Got to give him a shout out because we haven't seen enough Iron Man of late. And then we have the What If, more like What the Fuck. The man, the myth, the Marvel, our one and all, well, one of our two Marines, Will Parker. Thank you for coming on at this late hour, making sure the Groaning Geeks get the most up-to-date content. That you should be sure to like the video, be sure to subscribe to the video, and ring that notification bell so you get notified every time we drop piping hot content your way. As Tony would say,